Hi everyone, my name is Joe LaGiglia, and on this episode of the Mortgage Message Show, we're talking about who's buying this spring with Kristin Brady from John Green Realtor. Hi everyone, my name is Joe LaGiglia, and welcome to the Mortgage Message Show. We're starting a brand new series called Who's Buying This Spring, and we want to introduce you to our first guest, Kristin Brady of John Green Realtor. Kristin, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being a guest. We're so excited to have you on the show. Today's episode we're dedicating to FirstTime Homebuyers. And I can just tell my audience that we've had so many connections with FirstTime Homebuyers. And I'm really excited to kind of share a little bit of their journey, but also get some questions answered that will serve maybe the first-time homebuyer who's watching today. So I want to get started by first saying, because I think it would be great for the audience to kind of get to know you a little bit. How did you get into real estate?
Well, funny you should ask that. I worked 12 years in mental health, and after that it got pretty exhausting towards the end. And so I was just kind of like playing the Google game of what job is best for me, right? And I remember specifically sitting actually with you and your wife, and you were like, what about real estate? You'd be so good at that. I'm like, I don't know anything about real estate. Let me figure it out. So the more and more I dug and more I learned about it, I really truly realized that it's the first job that I could ever have to truly be myself and to bring my own personality and be able to utilize all of the networks that I've grown so fond of and been so involved in the community. It was something that I could use a little bit of each thing that I've learned and really truly make myself shine. So
well, it's such a gift that you've brought to the industry, and I tell you that, and I appreciate it, but with all humility, it was just all you from the beginning of taking a hold of this dream and moving forward with it. It's been so fun to see this journey, I got to tell you. And since then, I guess you kind of gave me a good segue. Based off of the skill set of what you had career-wise moving into the real estate industry, I'm just interested to know, have you seen those skills kind of come into play with the real estate industry?
Absolutely, for sure, because there's no two transactions that are ever the same. You understand that, right? Every single day is different, and every client is different. And so I really, truly appreciate the fact that I can be a good listener, and it's not about me, it's about them. And so learning what their life is about and what their journey is about to become, how can I help not only find a home, but do you need people to help you furnish it? Do you need people to help you decorate it? Do you need to rip up the floors? Do you need to get involved with your community? Do you have young children? I have learned, again, so much about what this community has to offer, and just being able to put everything together for people. I come out looking like a rock star, but truly I'm just being myself and just connecting.
Absolutely. So. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to be on the front lines of that on so many transactions. And specifically to first-time home buyers, there's such a hand-holding that takes place. Kind of, if you can, just from your perspective, what attracts you to first-time home buyers? What do you like about working with first-time home buyers? What's your thoughts on that?
One of my favorite things about working with first-time home buyers is just that their minds are like sponges. They have nothing but questions, and they truly just eat out of the palm of your hand, right? They're like, tell me more. What about this? I'm freaking out about that. And it's so cool because I get to truly put everything that I've learned into action.
Absolutely.
And so I love that part of it.
And looking into this spring, we're entering what I believe is going to be just as successful of a year as last year was as far as the purchase market goes. Sure. And with that being said, what are some of the top questions you hear from first-time homebuyers? And I know there's hundreds of them, but if you could, just maybe a couple that come to mind.
Well, a lot of people are questioning about finances, right? So is this the right time to buy? Should I wait for this spring? Should I wait? Is it okay? I think for sure the spring has always been our busiest time, but this last year really proved us wrong. This year's been so different. Even now, it's totally different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and with rates being lower and lower as we go, especially with first-time homebuyers, they're like, how is this possible? I'm paying less with a mortgage than I was when I was renting. I don't know how it's possible. That's just, trust your lender, and this is what we're going with.
Well, it's a great opportunity that you offered that advice, because truly, when you talk to people who don't even know that they're first-time home buyers yet. They're in the renting world. What's some of the kind of conversations you're having as far as what you hear from people holding them back from taking that jump?
I don't know. I think and maybe this is my mental health background, but there's a lot of anxieties. And I think, again, everybody's so different. So I think commitment is huge. And I think once you show them the numbers, I think a lot of people are visual people. So you're like, hey, look at how much you're paying over this 30-year loan versus what you're paying in just the last 2 or 3 years that you've paid in rent. Like, you'd be silly not to, right?
Absolutely. So you take the culture of Kristin Brady, just someone who meets everybody where they're at, so much empathy for the client, specifically the first-time homebuyer who, as you said, carries so much anxiety. And I've seen you time and time again be able to overcome that anxiety. And it's awesome, right? Because there's an art to it.
For sure.
And it has to come from the heart, which it always does with you. Combine that with the culture of John Green Realtor. Talk to me, if you can, about what would you call your trademark approach to how, working with a first-time home buyer, how is that different than the 100 other realtors that are out there?
I would say I'm just different. I don't know how to explain it, but I've done things with my clients that some other realtors look at me and they're like, you're doing what? You're knocking on doors to meet the neighbors before they even wrote an offer?
Right.
Yeah, I am, because they're nervous about the neighborhood, so let's do it.
Right.
You're what? You're going grocery shopping with your clients? Yes, because they need to know what the grocery store looks like because they're nervous about it. I've
Yes.
bought tickets before for a roller skating rink because I'm like, take the kids, go skating, check out drive around your subdivision that you're considering. I'm creative. I guess I owe that to my mom because she's always, taught me to go outside of the box and do something different, and that's what I do.
I love the roller rink story. I mean, that is fascinating because I think it does show the creativity, but it also shows the uniqueness because just like in my position, you could call it a commodity. You could say, there's hundreds of us, but it is that connection that you make with the client, with the family, that is the difference that gives them the overall experience. And speaking of experience, we have so many that we could choose from, but a couple I think may come to mind when you think about specific first-time homebuyer stories that we've had recently. Is there any that you want to share? Just kind of a summary of.
So many. So I guess we can talk about the couple that was waiting for God's blessing, right? They don't teach you this in real estate school. So we had looked at about 20 homes, and some of them I thought, okay, these houses are great for them, but for whatever reason, it wasn't rubbing them the right way, which is okay. So we finally had a conversation at their kitchen table. I'm like, okay, what can I do better? How can we get this done? Because I don't want to waste your time, but what are you looking for? And that's when they explained to me that they were waiting for not only God's blessing, but also they had inherited some money from their father that they wanted to make sure, deceased father, I should add. So they wanted to make sure they were receiving his blessing as well. And I thought, when I got back in the car that night, I thought, well, how in the heck am I going to make that happen? Right?
Yeah.
And so I did what I know to do best. I held their hands the next time we were out. I said, let's take some time and say a prayer, which is not something I do with every client, certainly, but this is what they were looking for. And so I had such a great feeling about it going in. We went into this house, which I thought was going to be the one. It was on Legacy Lane.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, maybe, they're leaving behind a legacy. This is going to be the one. And we're in the house, and it's trashed. It's awful. I was like, this isn't what was supposed to happen. But while we're in the house, we got a call from the agent from the original house that we had first seen that was back on the market. And I'm like, well, this is weird. And I looked at my clients and I said, you guys like Poppy, right? And they're like, what? I'm like, Poppy Lane. Didn't you like that house? And they're like, Poppy is what we called our dad.
Wow.
Yeah, we totally love Poppy. So we ended up writing an offer that night, and it just kind of like felt so, I mean, I get the chills now just thinking about it, but it's things like that you don't get that from filling out a survey of what are you looking for in a house. I really dig deep with my clients and get to know what is your true journey and what is it that you're looking for. And I don't know how to put words on that,
Yeah, well, that's amazing. I mean, I think obviously being a part of that transaction, it was incredible to just kind of watch from the sidelines all of that play out. And I think it's a great example of how you started this interview by saying each transaction's different, each family's different, each one has a story. And it's just awesome that you allowed you allowed the experience to be led instead of trying to make it for something different. And I think it's a great example of how you serve your clients. Speaking of just the first-time homebuyer experience, I know a question that comes up all the time, and I'd love for you to answer it once and for all, is, how do real estate agents get paid for first-time homebuyers?
Well, it's funny that you should ask that, Joe, because with buyers, first and foremost, buyers don't pay. And I think a lot of first-time homebuyers don't realize that. So they're even nervous to schedule the first appointment because they're like, what is this going to cost? Well, it doesn't cost anything to the buyer. It's something that the seller pays. And we go from there, right?
Yeah, I always say it's one of the few times in life that you have the opportunity to leverage a professional servicer and not really, as you said, have it, so to speak, come out of your pocket, right? Now, certainly once you buy that first house and you have to sell it, you're leveraging the services of a realtor.
Yeah.
But it's great, and there's so many advantages of being a first-time home buyer. Any others that come to mind that you could think of off the top of your head? I mean, I'll just say from the lending side, certainly there's so many opportunities to be able to really take a renter or take someone that, maybe struggling with the down payment or otherwise, and really give them an opportunity to take another look at it if they think, no, I'm not ready to purchase. To, as you said, have rent be, is higher than what a mortgage payment could be. But anything else that may come to mind as far as the advantage of rent or owning instead of renting?
There's so many things. I mean, building equity is huge, right? And I think explaining that to buyers, what that actually is almost an eye-opening experience for them, because they're like, I didn't realize how much, not only was I throwing away money, but like missing on the opportunity of growing my wealth, right?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because certainly study after study after study, year after year, continues to show that the greatest wealth generator is owning instead of renting. And it just, time and time again, it's proven because of what you just shared on the equity side.
Sure.
We're entering this spring, and, as you said, we survived 2020 and just got through it. And we're looking at this year in front of us. What is some parting advice or just, a hot take that if someone who's watching this, a first-time home buyer, what's something that you would share with them about kind of getting the process started, or getting the mindset, or just having the conversation with themselves about looking and seeing themselves as a homeowner?
Sure. I would just say, do what's comfortable, right? I hear so many stories of clients that have worked with realtors and they have horror stories. If it doesn't feel good, then maybe that's just not the right connection for you. I have so many testimonials from clients who say, like, I treat all of my clients like they're old friends of mine. I truly do. And if they're not an old friend, they're a new friend, because guess what? You're in for life.
I've seen it, and it's the truth. And you know what? It's great, because I think it's certainly a testimony to the way that you serve your clients, because they do truly become friends with you. I've seen it time and time again, and I just think it's a way of just sharing with the clients about who you are. And like you said, if the connection's there, it's great. I love it, and I'm excited for first-time home buyers to be able to be connected with you this spring, and summer and fall and winter, whatever works for their timeline. If someone, Kristin, wanted to, kind of maybe carry this conversation, or there's a few questions we didn't answer, the best way for them to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
They can call me, 630-709-3525. You can email me at kristinbrady@johngreenrealtor.com, green with an E, don't forget it. Or you can find me on social media, Happy Homes by Kristin Brady.
So exciting. I got to tell you, your journey these last couple of years and seeing the growth of your business, it's been remarkable. But sitting here with this interview today, there's no question on why you've been able to help so many people, and I'm excited to see you do it again this year. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. We hope, especially for your first-time home buyers out there, we hope that this interview has helped you have the confidence to be able to take your path to home ownership. My name is Joe LaGiglia. This has been the Mortgage Message Show. We'll see you next week, everybody. Take care.